You'd be so mad at me. It's okay. We could be a minute late. That's all right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Houston. We have a problem. We're episode 256. That's freaking crazy. Powers of two, man. That's where we are, Cat. Powers of two. We're two to the what? Ninth? Is that 256? 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256. Eighth power. All right. Well, here we are. What's that cat? Sorry, the cat's like climbing shirts in the closet right now. What was I doing? Oh yeah, a show. Okay, so Bed Bath & Beyond got a little zzz today, and then kind of settled out on it's incredible short interest reported, and all these rumors of mergers and acquisitions and things going on. Nothing concrete has been stated yet, but enough rumors make things go. What was it? Buy on rumors, sell on reports. Sorry, I know both the dog and I are like, what is that cat doing? Climbing clothes is what the cat's doing. GNS has announced they're doing a spin-off. And then it's been confirmed several times over that FINRA never deleted MMTLP. So FINRA's lawyers lied in their filings, and I really, really, really hope that Rosa hits that one home. They keep saying they deleted it on 13th, and they never deleted anything, and that sucker just served up. Boom! It's a home run ball right there. So, good stuff, right? Boing. Oh, that's what. Dog, you scratch yourself and the doors on the desk go whoppity whoppity whoppity. Turn that off. We are off. The other one's off. Everything's off. We're cool. Reminder, tomorrow is Charity Tuesday. I still have not selected a charity. I will buckle down and do one tonight. And then get that show set up. AMC Bigham's supposed to come by. I've not heard from him yet as to what time he's going to be available. So I'm just waiting on that. So wait on that. Charity Tuesday tomorrow. Sometime. Let's see what you guys have to talk about. Okay. BOFH. Any update from Rosa or the courts? Probably nothing, but I'm eagerly awaiting the judge's crap. I can't rule any way other than against FINRA without getting overruled, can I? Moment. Nothing from the courts. Rosa, because Rosa took her like once a year vacation, came back and had just a boatload of work to do. So it sounds like she's pretty swamped at the moment. She's got a couple of weeks to respond. I'm sure she'll be quicker than that. And then Wednesday is the date that FINRA has to offer a response to her initial complaint. And if they don't offer one by Wednesday, she can file for summary judgment. So they've got 2 days. 2 days to get that sucker filed by 4 p.m. East Coast time. So we'll see. And you'll note that the original response to the TRO was written by some lackey, some low down, associate at the law firm. The motion to dismiss and the response to Rosa's reconsideration were written by the partner, by the name on the door, and that's why it was written differently, with a lot better like Jedi mind trick doublespeak, and so it's serious business now, because this is going to come down to like the big hitters. Rosa wrote just such a phenomenal motion to reconsider, or memorandum to reconsider, what you call it. I forget. I had it right in front of me. First memorandum in support of plaintiff's Rule 59 motion for reconsideration of order. That. Home run, man. Well, as far as updates, no updates yet. As soon as we get a filing from someone, we'll let you know. Ray Grumps, did you hear when Denise at FINRA was asked to confirm if MMTLP was deleted or not today? She literally said, I have to hang up now, and hung up on him. What the hell? My roommate and I were just discussing this, and that's probably because they're in the middle of a lawsuit. Anything she says can make them culpable and could be used as evidence in the lawsuit. So my guess is when anyone calls by MMTLP to FINRA, they just go, click. I can't talk about it. So that's probably what's going on. And Rolnick Houston, what is a lab-grown opal made out of? As far as I know, no one has successfully done a lab-grown opal. Unless that's something new that's happened in the last year or so. I'm going diamond synthetic opal rough by lab created. Wait, synthetic opal. Does it look like there's some lab-grown opals here? What do they look like? Sorry. White and black opals. So the Kyocera has a lab-grown opal. When did this start? It won't chip, and it's incredibly dense. So it can't be hydrogenated silica, which is what opals are, because those are soft. They're like a hardness of 5.5 or so. Incredibly durable, offering heat resistance because it's well-balanced internal water content. Really? Well, it's claimed as internal water content. Some silicon dioxide particles. All right. So it is saying it's silicon dioxide with water, but it's also saying it's somehow harder, which I don't know how they do that. Interesting. Bing. Barrel. So they've got lab created opal. Not a clue how they do it. For opal crystal vert. So it is silicon dioxide and water. Hardness is slightly no. The hardness is the same. So why? Hardness is, how can they say it's harder? Density is the same. It's the same. Huh. I don't know. I'm gonna look into this more. I'm gonna look into that more. How they make it. I mean, basically, you have silica and water, and you combine them, and they make something. It doesn't necessarily take pressure. It just takes time for the silica and water to kind of stack themselves accordingly, and then it solidifies and lithifies. Like you can go to the Blue Lagoon in Iceland, and it's this really silica-rich runoff from a geothermal plant to make this giant hot spring, and it's really, really silica-rich. And so every lava rock attached to the pool gets covered in plain white opal. So it's pretty easy to create. It's just like that's not going to be a gemstone worthy opal because the water environment is too splish splashy, and you can't get the nice little bowling ball, cannonball stack of the opals. But beers, this must be a brand new process just got created, because there's a couple years ago, pre-COVID, that did not exist. So looks like it's made of same stuff the real opal's made of, though. Jason Blackwell, Houston, what did the marker say to the pencil? Boy, are you looking sharp. You've had better. Or worse. I'm not really sure which way to qualify that one. All right. Daniel, oh crap! I was just about to read something from Daniel Motes, then reset. Okay. Daniel Motes, Houston, are you in Acme Parent Company now? Thoughts on below? Of course I'm in it. I'm sitting and waiting like everybody else. But yes, it's below $1. They're going to have to pump it right back up again. Otherwise, they're going to get that warning from NASDAQ about being below $1 and facing delistment. Mario Valdez, how can you tell if your girlfriend is ticklish? You give her a test tickle. Oh, god damn it. Ideas matter. 7707. Hey, Houston. I bought into GNS at 54 cents and I sold it today, but I forgot about the divvy arg. But I saw it getting shorted again. How low do you think it will go before it can buy back in? Oh, what did it finish at today? 491. Made it to 681 before it got shorted back down. What was the volumes on it? I mean, yeah, its lows. It was at 32 cents as of December 16th, and it's been up since then. So the last time it was really in the lows was January 13th at 47 cents, and it's been pop, zing, zing, zoom since then. In the last year, it's been as high as 968, and then it bounced to 775 in August before getting hammered back down again. I mean, it's, oh, you guys can't see. I always forget to show what I'm looking at. So we can see that it's kind of doing a chart similar to what it did after it first opened. But man, that was a really low bottom. Look at that, just bottomed out, just miserable. So we're popping back up again. My guess is round out, get hammered down, but they're going to be doing that spin-off. So maybe a lot of excitement around it now that didn't exist 6 months ago. So I wouldn't doubt if we see it kind of do some zigzaggings as they like let it pump, hammer it down, let it pump, hammer it down, and go over and over and over and over and over and over. Yeah. So how low can it go? $2, and then they hammer, fire it back up again. Don Caesar Shadem, Houston. What did Data find in the toilet on Enterprise? Captain's log. That's the one I heard. Why was the Enterprise in the bathroom? Because it was searching Uranus for Klingons. All right. Mario Valdez, do you think short hedge funds or market makers got to the judge? You don't want to even risk that. Like, if you get busted messing with a federal judge, oh man, that, like, I'm sure people have tried in the past, but I don't think you really, really want to deal with that, with the outcome, because the federal judge might just be like, you know what, I'm calling the marshals, and you're getting taken care of right now. So, I mean, they have literally the power to go, you're in contempt, and just throw your ass in jail, basically forever if they want to. And just do it. My coordinates aren't showing up. Try and phone MPC. Man, I don't know why some days coordinates can show up and other days they cannot. I don't know what the mechanism is behind that. Houston Wade, look up the Gansu rock formations. Gansu rock formations. Okay, all right. Boom. Whoops, wrong screen. There we go. Why small? Get big. There you go. Okay. Gansu rock formations. Flying across the world. Smacking into, where are we? That's none of these are Gansu rock. Ancient Gateway, Silk Road, Geologic Park. Gansu is probably this one. Up in the Gobi here, or Tibetan Plateau? I can't really tell where we were. Island Park. Okay. Well, are these guys? These perhaps the Gansu rock formations? If I go, just get rid of that, and can I scroll? Can I get my photos? Here we go. Oh, those little hoodoos. Okay, these are didn't they film like one of those Jet Li movies out here or something? But you guys can't see it because all you get is a white square. I'm seeing cool stuff. Cool little hoodoos. Little sandstone. Okay, we go here. We go there. We turn this off. And Painted Hills. Here we go. Got Painted Hills in China. So we have similar rock formations in Oregon. We have Painted Hills in Oregon. We've got similar ones in, was it Argentina or Peru? Can't remember which one. Somewhere in the Andes they have ones that do that. But they're gorgeous, aren't they? Look at that sucker. Look at that. What? So pretty, and I bet you find really cool fossils in them too. I'd love to go see this in person. See if it's as vivid as, you know, these obviously Photoshop pictures are. Yeah, that's cool. That is cool. It's a different spot than where you took me in Google Earth. These are to the sandstone little hoodoos. So I don't think any of these are I mean, these are cool things, but oops, you can't see. These are cool things out here, but that's not what wind carved rock formations, Buddhas. I don't think Google's actually trying to take me to the real spot where the Painted Hills are. That's a pretty cool temple though. Carved in, it's like what's that place in Jordan? Petra? Dang. All right. I'm wasting time. Okay. You guys can get me distracted by looking at rocks. Anyway. When's the GNS date of record for the divvy? It was hard not to sell at $7 today. I don't know when the date of record is. I haven't heard that. I didn't see that in there at all. Or shares dividend history 2023 dates payable. That's from nope. Genesis Group Limited, January 25th. Here we go. That's 25th. That's not. I don't know. I don't know what the net record is yet. If I find out, I'll let you know. I'm not seeing it. Okay. All right. Yeah, if you try to swallow your bone bits, you're gonna choke to death. So watch out, man. Yeah. Just chill. Okay. Citizen 54, Houston, BIS balance sheet, January 30th, 2023. Someone owes the Bank of International Settlements, BIS, a lot of money. 7.305 trillion outstanding BIS claims. Thoughts? Is it Bank of International Settlements the U.S. bank that we use when, like, you know, Boeing is doing some sort of deal with, I don't know, trying to sell planes to Malaysia or something? Not the BIS. Promoting global monetary financial stability through international cooperation. Nope. Turn you off. There we go. Wait. By central bank, so it's headquartered in Switzerland. All right. General manager is dude from Mexico. Oh yeah, it's bank as the bankers bank. The BIS serves as the financial needs of central banks, provides gold and foreign exchange transactions for them, and holds central bank reserves. The BIS is also a banker and fund manager for other international financial institutions. Okay, so I was thinking of a different one. So they have 7.35 trillion. 7.305 trillion. Here it is. This is from Reddit 5 hours ago. Just released BIS balance sheet January 30th, 2023. Someone cough, mostly GME naked shorts, cough. Owes the Bank of International Settlements a lot of money. 7.305 trillion in outstanding BIS claims versus 4.227 trillion in outstanding BIS liabilities. Archive link. That is very small. Just it changes. So the US dollar amounts went up. Okay. National banks. Who has what in there? Yeah, Kingdom owes a lot. Or owed. Then in the back, who's negative? Okay. So then if we leave this, is there more? Is that the only picture? Is that the one we got? I don't know what to make of that at all. But archive link, we can go to the actual archive. Okay, there's the actual table. That's what we just looked at. It means nothing to me at all. Adjusted changes. It's like US dollar went up in their bank quite a bit. But outstanding liabilities, 3 trillion in liabilities, 7 trillion in claims. Huh. Well, there you go. I don't know what it means. Yeah. It's another thing I want to read all about and learn about tonight. You guys keep making me learn. So, okay. All right. Little sister and I are getting food tonight. Excellent. Okay. Still can't put in coordinates. Blah, blah, blah. GNS stuff. Happy Monday. Cheshire K. Do shorts have to close positions in GNS spinoff like MMTLP or totally different situation? I mean, they were supposed to close the other one, and they didn't. So my guess is that they're going to do what works for them, which is nothing. That's probably going to be what happens. The thing is that if you have a whole bunch of these companies all doing little things like this all at once, it can start to slip through the cracks at these hedge funds. Because these hedge funds institutions, they do not have somebody dedicated just to each stock. They don't. They might have 6,000 employees at a really big company like Citadel, right? And those 6,000 employees, there's not one dedicated to every ticker. Because half those people are like coffee getters, interns, janitors, secretaries. You might have folks, several folks dedicated to like some blue chip stocks, and several folks dedicated to these things over here. You might have like 10 guys that are OTC people. You just don't have a person dedicated to every single solitary stock and piece of news that comes through. So you make the algorithms, your computer algorithms, manage all this stuff. And if you got 10, 12, 15, 20, 100 companies are all of a sudden like, you know what? We're going to do preferred shares. We're going to do crypto dividends. We're going to do spin-offs. We're going to do mergers. We're going to do splits. And they start doing all these things. Things are going to start slipping through the cracks. And they're going to miss one. They've got only so many people they can pay to sit on Reddit all day and spread their misinformation and pass info back up the chain as to what Redditors are doing. But they really just, I don't see how they can pay attention to it all, honestly. There's so many other things going on that they gotta focus on and make all their plays in. And the computers aren't humans, so they don't really know how to discern the information. They sort of go, oh, yeah, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, do this algo until somebody else tells us to change it. I think we're just going to see it kind of wear everything down. I mean, they can send 6,000 people and their families to Disney World, but can they really have them pay attention enough to these stocks at the same time? Thoughts on the FTD data for GME? I've not looked at the FTD data for GME. GME FTDs. Failures to deliver. Okay, what we got? Looks like it went really low at the end of December. We got it beginning of January. We're in the hundreds of thousands still. Failure delivers. December 20th, almost 600,000. Almost 600,000 again on the 22nd. Quite high in December. Why is the graph showing low? Oh, because that was that peak. It's been in the millions before, which was August when we ran to 40. And then when we ran to 200, it was in the millions again. And then that previous winter was in the millions. So the FTDs are way down overall. And they were very low the first week of January. Like negligible. Like who gives a shit? Interesting. I mean, many more thoughts on it beyond that. We did have a little bit of a run leading up to the 20th. I'd be curious to see what that week looks like. We didn't really did we get any gamma squeeze today? I forgot to even look. Not really. Right off the bat, we are at 22 something, 22 and change, 23.14. And then kind of petered out. So good time to buy would be later in the day versus the first thing in the morning. Dog Mom, Houston, love your show. Thanks for doing it for us. Well, sometimes they're exciting, right? Other times, I'm just fumbling about. Ryan Zukolski, been watching Houston for like a year. Finally caught him live. Super stoked. Welcome aboard, Ryan. Yeah. Tickum, for AMC, can you please clarify the order of merge and reverse split? Which one merge AMC, then reverse split? Then merge with second method will be an issue with fractional shares. I think it's take the AMC, merge it together so they become all AMC, and then you do a 10-to-1 reverse split. So your 10 shares become 1, and then that's where you go from there. If they try to do the reverse split and then merge, it's gonna be just a mess. So I think they're doing merge, then reverse split, and going from there. Great Ape Knowles, Houston, how do you know when you're ready to date? Also, why are you still single? Comes along, man. Or lady. Great Ape. Grape Nut. Slim pickings / not really out there looking. Doug Kirch, for the longest time, I thought the comic tropes guy was your brother. Who's the comics tropes guy? Comic tropes. Chris? Chris Piers. Oh, yeah, I mean, I can kind of see it. We got square glasses, probably both in our 40s with receding hairlines. I can kind of see it. But no, we're not brothers. I mean, I can see it a little bit. You know, it's basically the square glasses I think would do it, but not as much as this dude. This dude, fucking, that's me. that guy is very. He's got a widow's peak. I don't have a widow's peak, but dude, this is like when I saw the first videos he was in, I literally was like, I don't remember making this. Why am I on camera? It's supposed to be how like a long lost twin feels when they meet another twin, because that's me. That dude's me. Wigs me out. I'd gone my entire life not really knowing I had a doppelganger, and then boom, this dude shows up making techno music. Though we'll be able to tell us apart because he's got sleeve tattoos, and I don't have any tattoos because I can't really think of anything I want tattooed. Okay. What do I think about GTII? I mean, they want to do some sort of merger. They've been talking about it for 2 months with was it CSNS or SCNSN, where the company is. I mean, pull the trigger already. CRTD, is that who? I can't remember. Yeah. All right. OTO, CRTD is going to squeeze because of Intel 375 million nakeds. What's CRTD doing right now? CRTD. Because everybody's trying to squeeze right now. There's that 60 cents, 67 cents. Made it to 74 earlier today. Made it to 77 earlier today. Had a peak in November, made $1.69. Had a low at 5 cents in October. It's quite the pump to like 20x that sucker. Not bad. Oh, somehow I scrolled back down and lost my spot again. Where was I? Okay. How come I can't find where I was? Expulsarn X, what do you think about all the classified documents showing up in the president's home and VP Pence? I mean, there's a show premiering tomorrow that I did an interview last week with Josh Hamilton of The Gist, and he asked me the same question. And here's the way I understand it, is that if you are in the national security apparatus, you are part of the National Security Council, and you work 24 hours a day. Wherever you are, if you're on vacation somewhere, a whole bunch of documents show up with you, and you got to read through it all and spend your day getting briefings and reading all this stuff. And you know, it's at your home, it's at your vacation home, you go to a hotel, you've traveled overseas, like these documents follow you around and they end up everywhere. The problem is that the National Archives needs to have a dedicated person or team whose entire job it is to collect all these documents when they're done. And it seems like we don't really have that right now. We've got like a rough accounting system where they can kind of go, okay, these things should exist. It looks like we got these. And the thing is that my guess is that the one-off documents are the ones that are easier to be found, such as super duper like high level top secret where there's one folder and it's for the president's eyes only and that's it. Those ones are easier to account for than documents that go to, you know, the DIA chief or the head of the CIA and the vice president, whatever. You might have a dozen of those. And those are the ones that I think are harder to maintain accounting for. And those are the ones that end up, you know, when they move out of the Naval Observatory and head home, you know, they just take shit out of things, put them in boxes, and you move home, and then you set them aside, and you go, ah. I'm going to go decompress for a while. I think those are what are like found at Mike Pence's house and in Biden's house. And there's, we're talking like 10 sheets of paper, right? That's different than knowingly taking 300 ultra top secret documents, lying about having them, being caught on film, moving them to hide them, and then lying to the lawyer, with your lawyers to the court saying, "Oh, we don't have it," and then the FBI does a raid and finds them all, and then you're making millions of dollars off of a golf tour sponsored by the Saudis, and your son-in-law made $2 billion from the Saudis for his hedge fund, and then the Saudis say, "Yeah, your son-in-law totally showed us all these secret documents he wasn't supposed to, and that's why we invested in his hedge fund." That's a different level than these are mixing my things. So sorry. Here you go. So I do think that we need a better accounting with the National Archives and the folks that can handle those documents than what we have right now. But that's where we are. Okay. Why does the chat, every time I scroll down, it goes right to the bottom. And then I cannot read. Okay. There we are. Okay. Expulsar NX. We need another stream with Boss Blunts. When did we last have Boss Blunts on? I think it was an impromptu one. He kind of showed up in chat, and I just sent out a Zoom link to him, and we chatted for a while. Yeah. Rougarou off Walst. Of Walst? Rougarou of Walst? Off Walst? Oh, of Wall Street. Rougarou of Wall Street. I can't read. I went to public school. Houston, do you think shorts will ever close positions on the meme stocks? They will never close them voluntarily. They will only close them when forced to. And that's the only time that stuff is ever going to get closed. They're never going to be like, you know what I should do? I should probably close that position today. That is not in their MO. They will open up new positions, 1,000 new positions in a year, and their entire business model depends upon them never closing them and admitting it as a liability. They will take the cash from that sale, they will ship it offshore, and they'll sit there forever. And when they get liquidated, they're going to be like, what cash? I don't have any cash because it's in some offshore account in the British Virgin Islands or Bahamas or Caymans or Cyprus or Seychelles or wherever. So no, they'll never close voluntarily. Cameron G, what will happen to AMC and GME if the debt ceiling gets close to breaching without a resolution? Okay. So we've talked a million times in the past about this. If you are a fund, you are a bank, you are mutual fund, hedge fund, social security fund, sovereign wealth fund, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? The basis of your collateral is federal bonds and some government municipal bonds, things like that. But these standard AAA rated federal bonds, that's the basis for almost everything you do. It's what you do for trading for repo, for like short-term loans. It's what you use as collateral for margin because it's stable. Because it's stable, it offers a great ability for lenders to use as a standard block for any play you want to make. If we default, right, and you have a nice wall just of nothing but federal loans, $31 trillion of federal bonds that are all over the place in all these different funds. And if we default and the value of those bonds go to junk status because of that default, then Social Security becomes insolvent. Pension funds become insolvent. Hedge funds become insolvent. Almost every bank on earth and half the central banks become insolvent instantaneously. Now, what should happen in a system that if it was not like run by oligarchs and monopolies is when one of these funds become insolvent, they're supposed to get margin called. And if they can't meet the liquidity requirements, which in a case when you've got a global economic catastrophe, they wouldn't be able to do, you would liquidate. You go, we're going to sell everything you have, and we're going to pay off all your debts. The problem is that they're all over leveraged 30 to 1, mostly on these government bonds, right? So you have $1 billion in government bonds, you have now borrowed $30 billion in plays. So you sell, bink, that $1 billion in government bonds, and my hand can't even get down into the screen to show how little of your liabilities got paid off. So now you got $29 billion in liabilities they have to shovel off to the bank that gave them the loans. They're now responsible for that liability. Well, the banks just lost a huge chunk of their worth because they invest in federal bonds, and those federal bonds aren't worth anything anymore, so they don't have any money, right? So it's going to come down to the federal government having to print more money, which makes for more bonds, which are worthless, which just becomes this death spiral for basically every economy on the entire planet. So what would happen? Well, there's what would happen and what will happen. What should happen, what will happen. What should happen is liquidations, positions get closed. What will happen is probably everyone dies of starvation or joins roving gangs, marauding their way through the apocalyptic dystopian future countryside that we will be living in. So I don't know. Like I don't see a way of the US government defaulting on its debt that ends up with anybody being a winner. I think it collapses the entire economy in a way that it will take 20 years to climb our way out of. It will be brutal. It will be so incredibly brutal, and like billions will die. Right? I mean, can you imagine what happens if every currency on earth becomes worthless? Right? You've no motivation to do anything. You know, the whole Weimar Republic of, like, you know, the stories of like a wheelbarrow full of cash try and buy a loaf of bread. It's that type of thing, only no one has the cash. Right? The government can't even print it because that results in having to borrow more, but there's no one to buy the borrowing, and because all the banks and all the funds and everyone's bankrupt. It would be a clean slate type situation that is like, I can't even imagine how sketchy and scary it would be if we defaulted on our debt. I can predict terrible things, but in the reality, I'm imagining, you know, payroll never goes through. The banks don't have any of the money for various businesses to do payroll, so people don't get paid. They don't get paid. They can't pay the rent. Can't pay the rent. You get evicted. Landlord can't find any renters because no one has the cash. The landlord's house gets repossessed, and the bank has to try and sell it immediately because they can't sit on that for a while because they have no cash. And there's a glut in the market. Housing prices collapse in a way that there just becomes these like empty wastelands of homes that are just being torn apart by meth heads for copper. But even then, the meth heads are getting like, you know, I don't know if they're getting like a chicken wing or something for the copper they're getting because no one has the cash to pay them for anything. It just seems like as bad a situation. Like, you could drop nuclear bombs on every capital on Earth, and I don't think it would be as bad as if the US government defaulted on its debt. I think it'd be worse if the US government defaults on its debt than if we just had a nuclear war where we just wiped out every capital. Just bad things, and I can't imagine how you'd even climb out of it. Maybe the government, you know, would finally get the debt ceiling approved. Bonds would be so worthless the government could go in and just buy them all up for pennies on the dollar. I don't know, maybe that'd be the solution. But beyond that, I don't know, man. I don't know. All right. You will hit like if you get a snake tattoo. My sister has a snake tattoo. I'm going to dinner with my sister tonight. She's got a snake tattoo on one of her arms. It's like a figure 8 looking one or something. I can't remember. But it's a snake on her arm. Maybe she just messaged me. Sorry. No. Spam. Okay. Quit. Okay. Oh, sorry. Ryan Zukolski. Your opinion on book versus plan. Clear difference, my opinion. In my CS 100 shares of my dividend arrived in plan form, even though I held 1 share in plan form. My opinion, this was why we missed on official DRS and party. My RC became the book king. I think the DTCC violated the spirit of the filings that GameStop had made towards the dividend. So they said, we're going to deliver these shares to ComputerShare. ComputerShare issues the 3-to-1 throughout every one of their members. They take the rest and they give it to the DTC. And the DTC is supposed to distribute these to the brokers according to what's claimed. But the DTC then says, treat it like a 4-to-1 split. And they just split it in their brokerage accounts. They knew that wasn't what it was. But because the DTC said it, they went, okay, well, that's what we'll do. Right, monkey? Oh, you're a good dog. So I personally would have sued. Been like, no. I didn't say this is a split. This is a dividend. They're getting 3 shares from us for every 1 share they own. They're not just taking that 1 share and splitting it 4 ways. That's completely different. That's not what I asked. And you, DTC, sent out a corporate action that's a lie. That's not true at all. And it violates our filings. So I don't know, monkey. Come here. Because if it was the way the DTC claimed, right, then everyone who is in DRS should have like 16 shares for everyone. Think about it, right? They received all these millions of shares from GameStop, and then they issued 3 shares to every 1 person that was DRS'd. Then they gave the excess over the DTC, and the DTC issued a thing saying, hey, it's a 4-to-1 split those suckers. So then everyone that was in DRS should have had their 3 new shares plus their 1 old share split again into 4 shares each, so they should have 16-to-1. That makes sense? So the breakdown was the DTC, not in what GameStop did. Anyway, yeah. Speaking of the whole book versus plan thing, one of you, I won't say your name because you might be asleep right now. One of our European viewers, he had 54 Torchlight shares from before the merger. So he bought 54 of them. Spent, I don't know, $54 or whatever. Bought 54 of those shares. And then when it became tradable again in October of 2021, he bought several thousand more with a chance. He looks in his account now, and he's got 54 NextBridge shares under 1 ticker, and his X number of shares that he purchased afterwards under a completely different ticker. So they split up his OGs from what was traded, which seems really weird. Yeah, just very weird indeed. He is scared to wear the one. Ron Johnson, Houston, do you only wear button-up shirts? I've never seen you in a hoodie or long sleeve. I do wear others. You got to watch the Twitch stream if you want to see me in my civilian clothes. I only wear these suckers when I'm doing. Well, I don't only wear them, but I try to wear a different one every day that I'm doing the YouTube show because it's fun. I can go a while longer before I have to start repeating. Um, and but if I'm doing like a Twitch stream, I just whatever I happen to be wearing that day. Sometimes it's a hoodie, sometimes it's a sweater, sometimes it's a t-shirt, graphic tee. But when I'm working, I wear a button up. Yes. Dennis Sullivan, we can get a partial default. Payments are delayed but fully paid eventually. Yeah, they can do like a deferral or forbearance, things like that. But would you really want to like see what happens to the value of U.S. bonds if we're like, hey guys, we'll pay eventually? Especially when so many institutions rely upon like the 3% interest, 4% interest of getting off those bonds to do plays they're doing. It would be just so damaging to like the entire global financial system. I didn't want to think about it. Well, I try not to think about it, but then I end up thinking about it all the time, and I don't come up with any solutions regardless. So, it can be bad. Coffee, Donuts, and Homer BBBY still got heavy volume trading and 276% borrow fee on Reg Show. Yes, they are. Let's see what is gonna be weird with that. $1337 Gaming. I bought GME weeklies after Girk's deferral theory started showing signs of being true. I'm very curious to see when GameStop starts to, gets a little bump again from the fact all those dupes expired. How many days do you think it'll be? Is it 30 days out, 60 days out, 90 days out? I don't know. When do they start getting in trouble for not having locates? J-Dog, Houston, did you see the video of the liquid robot created that escapes a jail cell? I want to see another video that doesn't look like stop motion animation. That's what I want to see because it looks like a child stop motion animation. And my brain cannot accept that it's something real because it's just so poorly made / film / whatever. Yeah, it's weird. I did see that video. BOFH, I have a slightly more optimistic take. Money becomes worthless, but the world moves on as normal on barters for a while. Sure, violence happens, but minimal, if any. And you've not finished your thought yet. That was part 1. I guess I'll finish reading the rest later. What's amazing is I'm not behind in the chat. There's still 300 and whatever of you in here, and I am almost caught up on the chat right now, which is crazy. That never happens. Like, seriously, did I miss an hour in here? No. Just not very many chatters going on today. Matt Coors Fanny Pack. Houston, you made multiple promises of stocks going to millions of dollars. None have come true. Do you feel remorse? It hasn't happened yet, dude. Why? Because we're fighting an active opponent. That's why. Matt Coors Fanny Pack. No one's closed anything. That's why. They have not been forced to close. And at some point, they're going to have to close positions. We cannot be piling on $600 trillion in unrealized derivative liabilities forever and expect like the system to not notice. It just isn't how an economy can run. So they're going to have to close positions at some point. And when they do, that's when we get paid. But they haven't closed shit so far. Matt Coors Fanny Pack. So no, I don't have any remorse. Because we just haven't gotten there yet. Robert Stansel, is it true that we can watch the court case live? Which court case? Talking about the Florida one? Well, nothing's happened yet that has involved a hearing, but if there is a hearing, yes, theoretically you should be able to like log in via Zoom and watch it live. Different Lime. Houston, what's the timeline like on default if the debt ceiling is not raised? I think they said June. But interest rates have gone up, and they're talking about Powell raising interest rates again. Every time interest rates go up, our payments skyrocket. So a larger portion of our tax dollars go to paying off interest on this stuff. When interest rate was like 0%, who cares, right? No one cares. Interest rates are tiny. You can have as much debt as you want, whatever. But now interest rates, 3, 4, 5%. That's a lot of money going towards paying off the interest. So that June 2023 number might come sooner than we anticipated because of that. People talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's a great movie. I enjoyed that movie a lot. Oh, shoot. Josh Papel, Tennessee. Before GME was ever a thing, it took years to get there. This could be a long position, which means your taxes on what you make will be less. So thanks, Houston. I mean, I'm long on everything. I'm 2 years into this sucker. Yeah, I'm long on everything for sure. Sitting and waiting. Scooter K, maybe instead of raising the debt ceiling, we should be cutting to fit the budget. Okay, people always talk about, let's cut things, let's cut this, let's cut that, let's cut this. I mean, I'm sure there are places to cut, but any meaningful spending cuts will have to come from vertically integrating government services. Meaning, not using subcontractors to do what the government could do. That's how you want to save money, right? And doing that then leads to what people call socialist programs, which most people want to cut the government, don't want anything to do with socialist programs. And by that, I mean you have federal construction companies, right? Rather than going, hey, we're going to build this section of highway. We need bids from contractors to build this highway. It means we just go out and we build the fucking thing using government employees to go out and just build the bridge, build the highway, build whatever. It is way cheaper. It's way quicker. And again, everything's get done lickety-split. Doing things like, having army cooks cook food for the army again and not paying KBR $100 a meal at some off-site base to do the same thing the army cooks did for 100 years. Like those are the ways you cut funding. You have nationalized companies do a lot of this stuff that right now we have federal contractors do for us. Okay, good luck getting that through Congress with the power that federal contractors have at lobbying. Probably not going to happen anytime soon. The other problem is that we're in the middle of inflation, right? So everything costs more, which means the gallon of gasoline for you costs more. The U.S. government is the single largest purchaser of fuel in the entire world, which means it costs a whole hell of a lot more for them. They've got fucking battleships and aircraft carriers and planes and tanks and all sorts of things that they've got to have fuel storages for. Things just cost more. So the idea of, we can just cut funding does not change the fact that the United States is the single largest purchasing power in the entire world. 1/4 of our entire GDP is what the U.S. government spends on. So we cut prices, we cut costs. That means you're looking at hundreds of thousands, millions of people suddenly out of work because the government contract isn't coming through anymore for them to build that thing or provide that service, which means the economy is going to crash even more, which means we have to borrow even more than we were in the first place. The solution isn't cutting costs. The solution is taxing rich people. Rich people benefit more from the system than anybody else. They design the system so they can benefit from this, right? Their shipping logistics benefit from our weather satellites, our GPS, our government paid for ports, our subsidized railways, right? Their workers are trained by our educational system. Their transport goes on roads built by our tax dollars, right? So the risk to their investments are minimized by the fact that we've got police and regulators and fire departments and insurance commissioners and all sorts of things. So they're benefiting the most from this system, so they should pay in more. But instead what we have is we've got $400 trillion that they've offshored, that they've hidden in tax shelters around the world, so they don't have to pay the taxes that pays for the system that benefits them the most. So, tax them. Tax the shit out of them. We control the ISDA. We can reach into those accounts and just take their money from them and go, okay, I'm going to take this money out of your account in the Caymans, and I'm going to count it. And I'm going to take 37% of it. You can have the rest. Done. Tough shit. We have the power to do that, man. And we should. And maybe, just maybe, we get some of that money. We stop having a deficit. Maybe we could pay for things like high-speed rail, right? How many of you in the chat? I mean, the Europeans are probably all asleep right now, but how many of you in the chat have taken a train in Europe or Japan or China or India, for that matter? Like, do you know how wonderful it is to be in a walkable city and taking the train places? Dude, it's awesome. You can be like, hey, I'm going to go from this town to that town for $4, and I didn't have to drive anywhere. The train station is right there. My connection's right there, and I'm there in 30 minutes. Got to sit, have a drink, look at mountains go by. It is just freaking awesome. And every single solitary state in America at one time had a train system like that. You used to be able to go from New York City to Chicago on nothing but streetcars, right? You could take streetcars from New York City into New Jersey, switch to another streetcar system that connected to Philadelphia, switch to a streetcar system that take you to like freaking, Scranton, which would take you to, I don't know, where else, and you get to Pittsburgh, and from Pittsburgh you get to Cleveland, from Cleveland you get to Toledo, from Toledo you get to, Gary, from Gary you get to Chicago, and you would get your way across the entire country on nothing but streetcars. We destroyed it all. We let car companies, Firestone, General Motors, destroy that entire system in the 1930s to the 1950s, and they just pulled up all that rail line, paved it, and had us buy cars. They bulldozed entire neighborhoods, put in 20-lane wide highways with giant clover leaves, and cool. Now we've got huge highways everywhere. You want to go to the grocery store, it's a 30-minute drive. When you can, it's just, we could do things so much better, but because we have such an unfunctional government apparatus, because our Constitution was like the first, and we really didn't think about the consequences of how we created our party systems, and we wanted to give these slaveholding landlords so much more power than they ever deserved, and just makes everything so hard to accomplish good stuff. So no, the solution is not cutting spending. The solution is to tax the rich people to pay for the spending we've got to do. Because who benefits the most from the spending? The rich people. Who got $1 trillion in free money from PPP? The rich people. Who got $2 trillion in free money from tax cuts in 2018? The rich people. What do they use that money for? Stock buybacks, baby. That's what they used it for. We gave $2 trillion tax cuts to rich people, and they did $2 trillion of stock buybacks to artificially inflate the value of the market. It's there are ways to fix it. It's just that we won't ever do it. So maybe we should look forward to imploding the entire global financial market with defaulting on the debt, because yeah, after half the population murders and eats each other, maybe something new and beautiful will come out of it, kind of Star Trek style or something. Quiet Quest, any news on MMTLP? None. Nothing new since their filing last week, and sitting and waiting for to hear a response to the response from Rosa. Okay. Oh, I missed some super chats. I'm sorry. Quiet Quest. Any new news? MMTLP FINRA can appeal if they lose. Of course, anyone can appeal if they lose. But no new news since last week, because FINRA filed their response to Rosa's motion to reconsider, and they also filed a motion to dismiss. Rosa has, I don't know, I can't remember in federal court if it's 7 or 14 days to respond, but she's got a set period of time to respond. And by Wednesday, FINRA has to file their answer to the complaint that Rosa filed way back when, in December. And if they don't file by close of day Wednesday, Rosa can file for a default judgment or summary judgment. Summary judgment? I think it's summary judgment. And basically get whatever she wants. The court will be forced to go, yep, she gets whatever she wants. And that would be that. TJP, how does Rosa proceed from here? What comes next? Is she going to be on here? I'm sure she will be. I was going to try to have her on last Wednesday, and life comes at you fast. She wasn't able to do it. She had to postpone. I'm sure she's crazy busy right now. So I'm not going to bother her. I'm going to let her do her thing. And, maybe when she files something new, I'll reach out and be like, okay, I might have a breather of a day or two. Would you like to come on and chit chat? And we'll go over your filing. Until then, I'm gonna let her do her thing. She gets too many requests and calls and messages, and so she doesn't need one more person going, "Excuse me, can I have your attention?" rather than you doing your important work. So we'll get Dustin G. If Houston gets 200 likes on this video, you will get a snake tattoo. You guys, all right. Oh, is BOFH able to finish his thought there? Where were we? Crud. I can't find my spot in my thing. Okay, there's part 1. BOFH, did he have part 2 of his question? Oh, okay. So I guess your second part of your comment got eaten. Okay. After a while, people realize we don't actually need as much money as we had, and we hit a giant reset button in the economy, and we move after making sure this doesn't happen again. It's an optimistic way of looking at it. I mean, once you hit rock bottom, it's either status quo or you build something new out of it. And humans like to build something new if we can, because it's, unless we have like an oppressive, totalitarian dictatorship, making sure we're down the dumps, which, cool. I always find it interesting that the more wealthy a country is, the more wealthy the wealthy are, right? And if you got a really impoverished country, yes, there's a huge gap between the poor and the super wealthy, but like the super wealthy in those poor countries could be even wealthier if the poor were actually middle class and higher. Some of the greatest wealth building the United States ever did was between 1993 and 2000. Those 7 years where we brought the middle class up for the first time in like 20 years, made the ultra wealthy filthy rich. Like everyone was going, woohoo, we're going together in this. And then we did a bunch of tax cuts again and tore the base out of that, and everything just went to shit. Just tax the rich people. Just tax them. And if they try to move elsewhere, just take their money from them anyway. Who cares? They moved elsewhere. We'll take your money from you. The army of the Cayman Islands going to make us sure we can't do that? No. So just do it. All right. I totally did jinx myself, Iggy. Don't jinx yourself, man. You rarely get caught up on the chat. By the way, Law Tugget, see if your lucky streak keeps going. See, now I'm now 20 minutes behind, so that's what happens. Chris Taylor, another way to look at the GME debacle, regardless of DRS or not, is that holders should have received 3 cookies for every one, but instead the 1 cookie was cut into 4 pieces. Bingo. That's a great way of looking at it. Yes, I like that, Chris Taylor. That is a good way of doing that. It's a good metaphor. Or analogy? Because he said like. Yeah, it's like. So analogy. Houston, this is from SP. Do you know what Ken Griffin meant when he said retail needed to take on corporate debt in an interview months ago? Not specifically. I can guess. There's a lot of corporate debt out there. Just obscene amounts. And a lot of it is done in a way for like tax avoidance purposes. So like if you have a company that makes $100 billion in sales a year, huge company, like an Apple or whatever, right? Big company. You can take on like $100 billion in debt, and then rather than get taxed, you pay off debt, and then all that money is tax-free. It's one of the things like Elon was doing prior to him screwing up the whole Twitter thing. Would be, he had $200 billion in wealth. He'd take out a $30 billion loan, play with it, buy houses or cars or live life, go on yachts, do the stuff billionaires do. And then you sell $30 billion in stock, right? Which you should pay taxes on. Because, right, you take $30 billion and you pay your 25% or whatever the taxes might be, the capital gains. And instead, you take that $30 billion, you pay off the loan. And then it's all tax-free. So he's got $30 billion tax-free at, a minuscule interest rate, especially in the way interest rates have been for the past few years. And that's one of the ways they do it. They also have, you can take out loans on your wealth and never pay it back. And just take out more loans and more loans and more loans and more loans and more loans. And just keep doing it. There's also all sorts of weird tax loopholes that they have for that stuff. They got tax loopholes. If you buy a car over 6,000 pounds, you can take up to a $25,000 tax credit. Which is why, big Suburbans and Hummers and G-Wagons are really popular, is because that $25,000 tax credit. You can take that $25,000 tax credit on a lease. So you don't have to really buy the car. You can go, let's see what a lease is for a Suburban right now. 3-year lease, Chevrolet Suburban. Okay. Gimme. Okay. So $1,000 a month. All right. So, oops, that was the wrong one. I want that one. I want the Dylan Francis one. Okay. Chevrolet Suburban. I can't write suburb and 3-year lease price. Okay, $860 a month for a 36-month lease. $2,000 due at signing. Okay, let's bring up the calculator. So calculator, turn off the Chrome. Bam, calculator. All right, so we got $2,000 due at signing plus 860 times. Oops, I have to bring a scientific calculator here to do this right. Scientific. There we go. Okay, clear all. All right, 2,000 due at signing plus 860 times 36. Oops, 36. $30,960. $30,960 for 3-year lease on a luxurious Suburban. Okay, because this car is over 6,000 pounds, if you create an LLC, right? You create an LLC that purchases the Suburban for you. So I might make, I don't know, the Houston YouTube LLC, and I go out and I purchase this Suburban for $30,960. I can then, if I put a dash cam on and live stream my driving around, then 100% of my driving is for my business, right? So I can then take a $25,000 tax break on that $30,000 I pay for that Suburban. So for $5,960, I get to drive that Suburban for 3 years in like absolute luxury. What? And then go do it again, right? So for another $3,000, another 3-year lease on another brand new Suburban. So every 3 years, I have a nice, giant, super expensive, gas guzzling, environmentally evil car because I can create the Houston Wade YouTube company and drive that sucker around. So tax breaks for the rich people are everywhere. You know, they get their mortgage tax breaks on like their second homes and their giant yachts. And you go meet Kevin, bought a private plane this year. He made $12 million and bought a private plane, and then showed that by spending $3 million on a private plane, he got $5 million in tax breaks. So the government basically paid him $2 million to buy a private plane and use it. Like, these tax breaks are insane. Make the rich assholes pay. Chad Price, wrong. A lease you can write off 100%. So I can do a 100% tax break on that $30,000. Well, dang, Chad. Why not? Right? Yeah. So, dude, it's... The tax structure is not designed for you and me. It's designed for the really, really rich people to pay as little as possible and to get the most they can out of it. So like, they want us to save the environment. Okay, let's go save the environment. Let's get fuel efficient cars. Let's, limit our vacations. Let's do all these things. And then with the rich people, they're like, hey, how about you buy a Gulfstream and we'll basically pay you to fly it around, right? Hey, how about you build and buy a 400-foot mega yacht, and then you can lease it out, and it can be a business expense, and you can ride off the whole damn thing. And you can have yourself a giant $400 million mega yacht that gets, 6 feet to the gallon, and you can get your G-Wagon and have the lease paid off, or entire tax write-off for it. It is just stupid. It's a stupid system. It's really dumb. And it was so obviously written by these assholes, and they get the benefit from it. So that's where we are. So anyway, I forget how I got there from Ken Griffin said we need to look at corporate debt. But there's a lot of corporate debt out there that doesn't make any sense, that isn't necessary to the company surviving, but it's all a mechanism for them to get tax breaks. And then there's corporate debt that is the debt spiral stuff, like what AMC got stuck with and Sears got stuck with, which, is completely predatory from guys like Ken Griffin who'd make them do that. But yeah. West Wind, my broker told me it is still there, hidden in the background in case it trades again. Also have NextBridge Contra in my account. There you go. They haven't deleted it. They lied to the court. Ryan Zukolski, I got plenty of questions. Houston, when is the mega volcano under Wyoming going to blast off, and where would I go to be safe? We talked about this one a couple times in the past. Bring you up. Turn you on. There, bam. All right, gotta leave China. Gotta fly across the Pacific. Wee, woohoo, go, fly. Keep going. Leave Hawaii. Whoop, whoop. Oh, we got turned. Okay, so Yellowstone is in the top corner of Wyoming here. Yellowstone caldera. Essentially, this whole lake system here is the caldera. It erupts once every 600,000 to 1 million years or so. And when it does do the big eruptions, because there can be little eruptions that happen in some of the little vents that are around it. But when it does a big eruption, it will pump out 1,000 to 2,000 cubic kilometers of ash, which is essentially enough to turn the northern hemisphere into winter for a couple of years. If it erupts, it goes boom. The prevailing wind goes across the U.S. from the west to the east, so it's going to go this way. And the ash fallout will probably be kind of in a triangle that goes, I don't know, maybe from Chicago down to Oklahoma, back up to Wyoming, like through this region here. Big dump in Colorado, big dump in Nebraska, Kansas, so on. And, in places Wyoming, Nebraska, Colorado, you might have 30 feet of ash fall. Like enough that it will just bury towns and then people will just suffocate and die, kind of, Pamplona style. Pompeii style, sorry, Pamplona is the bulls. Pompeii style. Everyone else, there'll just be a huge amount of silica in the air, these little particulates. Sunlight will drop and it'll be cold. Crops won't make it. People will starve. It's gonna be pretty terrible. We're talking like snowfall in July and August when you weren't expecting it before, and like a little mini ice age. Was it 597? Whatever was the worst year ever. There was a supervolcano that erupted in Iceland, up here. Boom, and it basically caused a permanent winter, and like a third of Europe starved to death because they couldn't grow wheat and crops and stuff. And ashfall was insane, and it just was cold and miserable for 597. It was like the worst year to be alive. If Yellowstone erupts, which we'd get plenty of warning, it'd be like bubble, 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 bubble for months. We'd be like, oh shit, the earth is moving. This place is going to explode. I would sell everything I own, every single solitary thing I own, every vehicle, item of clothing, I would sell everything to get as much cash as humanly possible and get the fuck out. I would go to Australia. I'd go to South America. I would go below the equator, someplace fairly tropical, and that's where I'd spend the next few years, no matter what it took. If they required a visa from me, I would illegally figure out how to smuggle myself into a more tropical place below the equator, and I would live there until things cleared up, because everybody up here is going to freeze to death, and that's just going to be miserable. So that's what you do. That's what you do there, Ryan. You just get the fuck out. There's no reason to at all remain above the equator, north of the equator, if Yellowstone were to erupt. So there you go. Cameron G, what is your prediction for year 2050? What kind of technology do you think there would be the most innovative by then? I think battery tech and cold fusion. Those would be the things. We'll be taking helium-3 from the moon by then, and we will have battery tech that just blows out of the water anything we're currently using. We're talking, cars that can do 5,000 miles on a charge that takes mere minutes for them to charge. And we won't need solar panels. We won't need wind. We won't need coal or oil or nuclear power. We will literally could get to the point where we can start doing everything, absolutely everything, based on cold fusion. And now, okay, we got to weigh this, right? Like, we get our cold fusion technology, our material from the moon. So we got to go back and forth to the moon, taking shipments. We'll have colonies up there mining, taking all the helium through we can get. Well, the shipments going back and forth. If we get to the point where we have a Kessler effect, meaning a cascade of collisions across the low orbit of satellites around the Earth, and it just becomes this giant debris field of like nuts and bolts and scraps of metal flying 17 to 20,000 miles an hour, just for the next 1,000 years around our low orbit area, we will not be able to get to the moon anymore. You will not be able to launch something through that debris field and safely be able to get up or get anything back. And so suddenly, if we experience a Kessler event like that, then cold fusion is out the window. So as long as we don't make space such a mess that we have like the movie Gravity, where just things are blowing up and shredding through everything else, then we'll be okay. But if we do get to that point, that's a new apocalyptic future we have to look forward to. Because then we can't launch new satellites. Then, we lose GPS. So ships and cars and things can't travel as obviously as we were before. Weather satellites start to lose power and go down. We can't send any new ones. So we don't know if storms are coming. And then we have we lose entire coastlines to mega tsunamis and typhoons and hurricanes and stuff because we can't see them coming. So those are the things that you got to watch out for in the future. But the good side, cold fusion, cool battery tech, blended together, making for the fact that we won't need combustion engines anymore, which will clear up a lot of our air, which will help us in the long run to avoiding runaway climate change. Okay. Ryan Zukowski, Houston, government is so inefficient in its current form, though. Source, have been in government. It's true. But it's also inefficient? Business. There's no inefficiency like business. They will make sure that the peons down the chain get nothing, but they will buy luxury boxes at sports stadiums. They'll take executive retreats to 7-star hotels. They'll, make sure everyone's flying on private jets. They'll spend as much as they can on themselves while screwing everybody else and then charge you for it. You look at a company that makes sunglasses and it costs them, make a pair of sunglasses. It's fucking $3 in materials, if that, maybe 50 cents in materials. And you're going to go and you're going to buy your pair of Ray-Bans or whatever. You're going to pay $200-300 for them. Why? Because there's some dude with a skateboard who's getting $100,000 a month to wear the sunglasses on his head. But it's not just him. It's also an outfielder for the Yankees, a basketball player whenever they're not on the court are contractually obligated to wear them. You pay licensing fees to put them into a movie so that for some reason Eric Bana's character in Black Hawk Down, which takes place in 1993, is wearing a pair of sunglasses that were made in 1999. The expenses that cost to pay for marketing, for licensing, for sponsorships, those things are incredibly inefficient. And so when you're buying your products, you're paying for the stuff that actually isn't going into the product. Right? For so long, New Balance refused to do any commercials or sponsor anybody. And they just hey, let the shoes speak for themselves. Now they started doing, I've been seeing New Balance commercials, so maybe someone else is taking over that now. But that's going to add to the price of their shoes, which weren't cheap to begin with. So they're probably making more per shoe than Nike or someone. But there are aspects of the government that are incredibly efficient. People like to bitch about the VA, Veterans Affairs, but VA hospitals, the wait times are actually shorter than private hospitals, right? The overhead of the administrative costs, the bureaucratic costs of like providing care. It's like 1 cent on the dollar. Whereas your insurance company is like 30 to 40 cents on the dollar to provide the same care just as slowly and poorly as you get at the VA hospital. When they passed that Veterans Choice Act in 2014, so the Obama administration was lobbied like, hey, allow these veterans to go to like local hospitals to get their treatment and we'll just reimburse them. And so we passed this law. And they discovered the wait times at local hospitals were longer than they were at the VA. So if you were a veteran who needed like a knee replacement, right? And you go to the VA, like, oh, it's gonna be like 3 months until you get that knee replacement. You go, oh, screw you, Veterans Hospital. I'm gonna go to my local hospital. And the local hospital says, oh, it's gonna be like 6 months until we can take you. So there are points where you know doing it at cost is much more efficient and cheaper than it is like paying a private company to do the same thing. When I was in Norway in 2010, I might as well bring up Norway on a ye old map here. So in Oslo, the day I arrived in Oslo was the day they opened the new tunnel under the city. So here's Oslo, and there's like a crazy tunnel that goes under the harbor here. Let's see here. Let's see if the road, can we get the roads to show up? How do I get this stupid thing to... There. Go. Okay, so I got this. Sorry. Had to get this stupid thing on my way so I can read what. Okay, show me roads. Okay. So there's a tunnel down here. I think it must be this guy down here. This goes under the city for quite a ways and then pops up somewhere over here. So you have the highway comes along the waterfront, dives under the city, goes under the bay, and under a good chunk of the town, and then pops out somewhere over here. And inside this tunnel is, I think, 8 lanes of traffic and 2 rail lines that go through here. And it took them a couple of years to build at a cost of about $400 million US. Because what they did was they used the Norwegian construction company to do they started digging, right? This tunnel, how long is this tunnel? Goes roughly, come on, click there, click. So without the turns, 1.5 miles of the crow flies, so maybe 2 miles. 2 miles long is probably the tunnel in total. Okay, $400 million, 8 lanes of traffic, 2 lanes of rail, right? We go to my hometown, Seattle, at the same time. It took them like 2 years to build, right? 2 years. 2 years, $400 million, build this amazing tunnel. We go to Seattle. Whoop. We zoom in. We tore down this elevated viaduct that was super dangerous in Seattle, and we put in a tunnel that goes under the city. This guy here goes under the city and pops out up here in Belltown. It is also about, come on, click. Just give me the stupid click. I want to know the distance. Okay. It is, it goes right before the stadium, about 2 miles long, 2.14 miles. Maybe it might be a smidge longer than the one in Norway. They started construction in like 2008, and it took them 9 years and like $4 billion at 10 times the cost to build that tunnel, right? Because we use private contractors to do a tunnel that's smaller. It's, I think, 8 lanes of cars, no rail, and it costs us 10 times as much to go through the same type of soil as they had in the bay in Oslo, because we use private contractors. The private contractors need to make a profit, and the Norwegian construction company does need to make a profit. They're on salary and they just go and do their job. Done. That's it. The cost overruns on this thing were insane. We're talking like $3 billion in cost overruns. And the contractors did such a poor job that they didn't map out everything they're supposed to. And so, like, you got the big tunnel boring machine boring along. Yeah, totally fine. Take the straight line. Everything's fine. And then an intern's like, no, you can't go that way because there's a giant metal pipe that goes down for an old well. And there's like, shut up, intern, you don't know anything. And then hit the metal pipe and it destroys the boring machine. And it sat down there destroyed for like 2 years. They could figure out how to get the machine out of the ground and then ship it back to Japan, fix it, ship it back. It's just a nightmare. there's, sometimes it's just easy if you're one off and like, hey, I just need to get this like one thing done. Yeah, contractors are great. But if you know you're gonna have to build roads and tunnels all the time because that's your job as a government, then why are we paying a fortune to these contractors to do what we could just do ourselves? Your job as a government is to build roads and maintain roads. So just build roads and maintain roads at cost, right? You have a little community, like say Bainbridge Island, Washington. You have, your road network. You got one kind of main highway that goes through the island, and it costs with a contractor $10 million a mile to do anything on this road. Or you could get a crew of 20 guys, pay them all $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, and one paving machine. And you could fucking do it yourself at cost. And you could pave 30 miles and for the cost of doing 1 mile with a contractor. It's crazy. Just do it at cost. Save money. If you want to save money, that's how you do it. Okay. How do you know so much about army food? I watched a crazy documentary on KBR during the Iraq War and what they were charging the U.S. government for food, and it was insane. They basically fired all army cooks. They basically didn't make like no army cooks. We're just gonna have these private contractors do it. So KBR got the contract. This is a company associated with like Bechtel and Halliburton and whatnot, and they got this contract. They took a bunch of basically indentured servants from the Philippines to be the cooks. They're getting paid dirt to live in Iraq in the green zone and cook food. And the amount of food that got eaten by the soldiers came out to about $100 per meal per soldier, is what we were paying KBR to cook for the soldiers in Iraq. Absolutely insane. Just bonkers. That they're, and they're probably cooking food at $1 a meal was the cost total, right? So again, $99 profit per soldier per meal, 3 times a day. So each soldier in the green zone, you're making almost $300 off of them in pure profit. Absolutely just crazy, 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 crazy. Local Wizard just read an article saying shorts are down 81 billion in 2023. Could it be that bad already? I'd love to see that article. Of course, Ken Griffin's going to announce that they made $16 billion this quarter or something, and they'll be fine, right? After announcing I was caught up in the chat, I am now 30 minutes behind. 40 minutes behind. There we go. Ryan Zukalski says, I don't hold MMTLP, but I've been watching from the sidelines. I'm rooting for you guys. Something's got to give. The future of the USA is bleak. Yeah. Yes. And Ryan's in love with Rosa. Okay. Oh, somebody get here, monkey? Who's here? Your tail alarm's going off. Someone must have just arrived. Did someone arrive? Did they arrive? That's the alarm system right there. That tail starts going. Then somebody showed up. Let's invade the Caymans. Exactly. Let's invade the Caymans. First Ascent, completely off topic, but when Rosa prevails and the rest of us, when she does, I think we should all make a donation to animal rescues of Rosa's choice. Sounds good to me. I told her I was going to make her a jacket, like a high school letterman jacket that just said Catalyst on the back. So she can wear that sucker around. Taco Bandit high-speed rail doesn't work everywhere. It's true, it doesn't work everywhere, but it works a lot of places. Let's look at a place. Let's go back to the map. Back to the map, folks. Let's look at something like Atlanta to Orlando, right? It is, got my way little thing. It is, click on that. Click. Just work. Click. There we go. So it is 400, almost 400 miles exactly from Atlanta to Orlando. 8 million travelers a year go between Orlando and Atlanta. With a high-speed rail system, one of those like TVRs that do 400 miles an hour, you can hop onto a train in Atlanta, and an hour later, flunk, be in Orlando. Okay. This is, you don't have to worry about TSA. You don't have to worry about showing up an hour ahead of time and you're booking. You have your ticket, you walk on the train, you're on the train, and the train leaves. That's how rail works. It's amazing. So if you want to fly between Orlando and Atlanta, you're looking at, you have to wake up early, get everything ready, pack, whatever, leave, get the airport 2 hours ahead of time, check in, wait, go through the TSA checks, whatever. Flight might be delayed, whatever. Then you get on the plane, and the flight itself is probably, I don't know, an hour, maybe two, right? From taxiing, flying, landing, whatever. Then you wait for your bags and whatever. Then you got to take the transportation and whatever. Like, you're looking at a 6-hour experience to get from Atlanta to Orlando or Orlando to Atlanta. When you can hop on a train and do it in an hour, right? Or you could drive and have it take you 8 hours to get there. So that is, high-speed rail. High-speed rail between DC and Boston. Why not? Straight line. DC, Philadelphia, New York, Boston. Almost a straight line through there. You can hit New Haven, Hartford, Providence along the way. And you could do high-speed rail between Philadelphia, probably Pittsburgh, Erie, Cleveland, Toledo, Gary, Chicago, on up to Milwaukee easily, with a spur going to Detroit. But right now, you have slow-speed rail lines that fan out from Chicago. So if you want to go from Detroit to Cleveland via rail, you got to take a train to Chicago and then a train from Chicago to Cleveland. That's dumb. That's really dumb, right? Why would you do that? Why can't you just take a train from Detroit to Toledo and Toledo to Cleveland? Like, why isn't there a rail system set up that way? Why don't we have a logical rail system? Why, in a country like Switzerland, where I try to go every winter, right? We go to Switzerland. Get me straight up here. Okay, go to Switzerland. See all these little mountain passes in here? See all these crazy roads and everything? There's almost a rail line along every single solitary one of these things. Every single one of these, there's a freaking rail line somewhere. Turn off the roads here. So we got Zurich. Zurich's here. I take the train from Zurich to Davos. It is, how far? Zurich, click. Zurich to Davos, straight line, 70 miles. Takes me about an hour and a half on the train. On a World Heritage Site train. It's one of the most beautiful rides in the entire world. Going around the lake, ending up in Davos. Just absolutely exquisitely beautiful. That train ride is $300 round trip. You're like, whoa, $300 round trip. But that's because it includes 8 days of skiing. So I go from Zurich to Davos on the train, get my 8 days of skiing in, and a round trip train ticket through one of the most beautiful regions of the entire country. Every single town in here, every single solitary town, San Moritz, Livigno, Borneo in Italy, Kerr, every town along here has a train that hits it. Laux. So I took the train from Davos to Laux and Flims and went skiing there once. Every single solitary, these towns have populations of like 2,000, but they have a dedicated train that goes to them. Why, if I can do that here in Switzerland, why can't I, in the mountains here in the Northwest, why can't I go into a mountain range that's just as big and go to every single solitary? Why can't I take a train from Seattle and go to Mazama, Winthrop, Twisp, Brewster, Chelan? Why can't I do that? Why can't I go to any of these little towns in the mountains here with a train? The train doesn't exist. It isn't there. Why do they get it and I don't? Why does Japan get it and I don't? Why does China get it and I don't? Why does the UK get it? Why doesn't the United States do something so lovely as a train? Trains are awesome. You can sit there and you can read a book and end up in a place that would take you just as long to drive for a fraction of the price. It's awesome, man. Man, it's awesome. A few rounds of AMC Houston flies all the way to Switzerland to ride a train. It's true. I do. Because you don't freaking have them. I've done a train from Seattle to Portland before. It's slow as shit, but it's wonderful. It takes about 3 hours versus, maybe 4 hours versus 3 hours of driving because it's not set up for high speed at all. But, it's really nice. Go along the water, see things. Once you get into here, it's kind of boring. But then you're along the river again. It's really pretty. But hey, cat, what's up? You coming to say hi finally? Are you done sleeping in the closet? Do you know what time it is, monkey? Do you know what time it is? I'll tell you what time it is. Ready? Ready to learn? Oh my! Is it beef jerky o'clock? Oh my goodness! Oh, and there's the cat. Yeah, the cat's periscope tail. Oh boy. Okay. Do you want to come say hi? Want to come get it? Come on, come get it. Right there. Gotta get it. Gotta get it. Yeah, you're so gentle. You gotta get it though. Yeah, you just gotta get it. Gotta get it. There you go. Yeah, one more. Do the second one. Okay, get up here. No. Hey, monkey, get up here. Get up there. Okay, sit. A shake. Good dog. There you go. All right. Whew. That is such a strong smell. But man, $12 for 60 ounces of reconstituted beef jerky. Probably the best deal there is. That's it. Good job. You're a good dog. You did a very good job. Okay. Richard K. once took a coal-fired steam locomotive in Poland in the 1970s. There you go. I don't think I've ever been on a coal-fired train before. No, I never have. Diesel. I've only been on diesel trains and electric. RG, the problem is old people in Washington, we've got to set term limits. I do find it interesting that you're required, you're no longer allowed to fly a plane as a commercial pilot after age 62, right? You cannot be trusted to fly a plane with paying passengers after age 62 and you're forced into retirement. So if that's the case, why do we entrust 89-year-olds, looking at Dianne Feinstein, Chuck Grassley, they're both 89, going to be 90 this year. Why are we entrusting them with our politics? You look at all these countries, look at Finland and Ukraine and Sweden, they got young leaders. They got people there in their 30s and 40s doing this stuff. The founders of our country were young. Half the guys that signed the Declaration of Independence were under 25 years old. And there's something to be said about the hunger of when you're young. And quite frankly, I don't understand. If you're 89, why do you want to be in the Senate? Why do you want to do it? Why don't you want to just go sit? What is it about being 90 years old? You're like, you know what I want to do? Show up to work every day and have to get on a plane every weekend to fly home. That's what I want to do. That just sounds miserable, man. Why would you want that to be? You're already rich. Who gives go enjoy your lake cabin on Tahoe, Dianne Feinstein. Why on earth are you spending all your time in DC taking fistfuls of Alzheimer medicine and just bumbling your way around? I just don't get the appeal at all. Oh, and there goes the reset of the chat again. Got to scroll up, figure out where it was. So we're getting to the point. I got 10 minutes left, and then I'm going to go get dinner with my sister. And that's my for her messaging right now. she writes, "I'm hungry. Finish your show. Hungry, hungry." Looks like we may cut short by okay. Finishing. All right. I told her to head this way. All right. Cool. I'll do like one more, and then my sister and I are going to go get food. One more good one. One more good one. One more good one. Stephen K. Legend has it when God was building the heavenly gates, he had to go all the way to hell to get the contractor. J-Dog, will Hyperloop travel be a thing by 2060? No. Elon got caught on tape admitting that Hyperloop would never be a thing and that he only trotted it out when municipalities were looking at creating like subway systems or high-speed rail, and he would trot out and go to their city and be like, no, don't build this high-speed rail system. I'm making Hyperloop. And then they would vote against creating the high-speed rail, and then he could sell them cars. That's kind of it. There's a crazy couple articles, one in Fresno Bee and one in the San Francisco Chronicle, San Francisco Gate, can't remember which paper, outlining like that Elon's Hyperloop is just complete pie in the sky, that it will never do what he promises to do, and he's not even trying to get it to do that stuff. Like, remember, it was supposed to be this vacuum tube to get you from like LA to New York in 40 minutes. Now it is a tunnel that you can drive your Tesla in. It's just another form of traffic. That's all it is. So no, Hyperloop will never be a thing. It ain't happening. Okay. BOFH, because trains don't make the car-related industries lobby money. That's true. Cars lobbied hard. When Firestone and GM bought up all the rail all over the country and just shut it down and repaved, they got busted for antitrust violations, right? They destroyed tens of thousands of miles of rail, hundreds of thousands of miles of rail. They destroyed the entire LA subway system. The LA subway system was huge prior to World War II, just gigantic. And they shut down the entire thing. There's tunnels all over Los Angeles that used to have trains. And when they got busted shutting all this stuff down, all these cities around America, they got fined $5,000. Judge was like, that's antitrust. You can't do that. Pay $5,000. Like, okay, here you go. And that was it. Absolutely crazy, man. Just crazy. Okay. I'm gonna head out. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. I haven't heard back from AMC Bigums yet. He messaged while I was on show to let me know what time. East Coast time. Sorry, he's messaging me right now. Like, I just looked right as he messaged me. Looked at the thing. Okay, so it looks like if he's saying East Coast time, about 8:30 East Coast, so 5:30 Pacific will be Charity Tuesday show. All right, that work for you guys? Right about now would be when we'd be doing the show. So, cool. All right, I'll update you guys. I'll get that show set up. We'll figure out exactly what charity I'm doing. I've got so many great ideas, and I've not into like eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and figure out which one it's going to be. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great night. I'm going to get some crab ragoon. Good night. Oh, it's the book from Carmageddon. That's a good game, a good video game.